Here's everything I could possibly tell you about this hand-knit rainbow trout sweater that I made for myself using Lang Cloud tweed. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm the pottery artist and hobby knitter behind Sweater Weather Ceramics. Now, I did not come up with the idea or pattern for this design. I saw a viral reel on Instagram where somebody made a sweater that looked a lot like a brook trout, and being a fish enthusiast myself, I immediately went online and looked at the different colorway possibilities. The one I saw looked more like a brook trout, and I've already ordered the fiber to make that one as well. But I saw one that looked to me like a rainbow trout, and so I ordered that one. The fiber is called Lang Cloud Tweed, and this colorway is 1122.0011. My sweater took about 240 grams of fiber, and each one of these, they come pre-wound in these balls, is 100 grams. So my sweater took about 2.5 of these balls. I used a free pattern that I found online by Drops Design. It's called the Stone Shore Pullover, but there isn't anything magical about that pattern in particular. I knit several different swatches using different needle sizes and then picked the one that I liked the look of the fabric the best. I felt like this one, for example, with a slightly bigger needle size, the fabric wasn't as dense as what I was looking for. And so when I went down a needle size, I just liked the way it looked better. It has nothing to do with the color. It's about the actual fabric, the actual material itself. This one is a little bit looser. It would have made a little bit more of a lightweight pullover. This one is a little bit denser. So once I found the needle size combination that I liked the best, I measured the gauge and I found that I got about 13 stitches per 4 inches. And then I went to Ravelry and I looked for a sweater pattern that had that same gauge. It was nice that it ended up being a free pattern. I specifically was looking for a top-down raglan construction because that's just what I wanted. I wanted something that was familiar to me, and I wanted it to be top-down for sure so that I could try the size on as I went. And I wanted it to be in the round because I wanted it to be easy. I don't love seaming. One thing to note though is that because it's knit in the round, the stripes end up being fairly narrow. If you knit it in sections, the stripes will end up being a little bit thicker because of the way the self-striping yarn works. So if you want a thicker stripe, you're gonna need to find a pattern that's in sections and seam it together. In terms of size, my chest circumference is about 38 inches, and I chose the size in the pattern that ended up with a final chest circumference of about 44 inches. So I wanted about 6 inches of positive ease. My final pit to pit measurement on this has actually ended up being closer to 21, so more of like a 42 chest circumference, but I didn't wet block this sweater, and I will get to that in a moment. Although I chose the size for a 44-inch final chest circumference, I actually modified the pattern because when I found that I cast on for the neckband using that number of stitches as the pattern prescribed, I didn't like it. It was way too big. So I sized all the way down to the smallest size and then just did the raglan increases from there until I got to the amount that I needed for the size that was 44 inches. But I was trying it on as I went, and I would have stopped earlier because it's a very flexible pattern. I would have stopped earlier if it was fitting, but I liked the way it was fitting, and so I ended up finishing the sweater using the stitch counts for the size that's 44 inches. As I said, however, I actually steam blocked this sweater using a wet cloth and my iron. I didn't wet block it. Now I did wet block my swatches. All of the real knitters out there are probably gonna get mad at me for this, but I am by no means an expert, and I just like the way this sweater fits without having wet blocked it, and it does have some superwash fiber in it, so I am a little concerned, but I'm curious what y'all think. If I wet block it, that it's just gonna grow too much for me. So I steamed blocked it, but it's not a cable or a colorwork sweater that you would really want that kind of blooming of the stitches or that sort of settling out feeling, and it fits really well now for me, so I'm not gonna block it right away, if ever. So if and when I knit this sweater again, because I am gonna do it in the brook trout colorway, maybe I'll pick a smaller size and then know that it will grow when I wet block it, but maybe not. I just like the way it is like this. That's all the details that I can think of, but let me know if you have any questions because I have absolutely zero interest in gatekeeping this, and I think it's so fun, and I would love for so many of us to be out in the world wearing our fish sweaters. Laying Cloud tweed does come in some other colorways that are more brown trout or more of like an ocean fish with some deep blues. So if you make any, please find me on Instagram or send me an email. My handle is Sweater Weather Ceramics all across the internet, and I would love to see your trout sweaters.